Congress recently signed a bill into law reforming how RTD is governed. That's public transit, folks. Fewer elected seats, more governor-appointed seats. But Colorado remains ranked 44th in transit funding in the country. Did this latest reform make you more or less interested in approving additional funding for RTD, which would be your goal if you win this race?
Sure. I just have to respond to something that my opponent said about the migrant crisis. You know, I find it a little rich that she's attacking me for what we did when I did not see her lift a finger.
With 45,000 dedicated migrants we could do most, you were nowhere to be found. I did not see you at a single work authorization clinic. I did not see you at a single Denver Asylum Seekers Program clinic. I did not see you at a single finger to help women and children connect with cold weather shelter. And that is something that I'd like you to think about. It is so rich for you to attack my record on the migrant crisis when you did nothing. Absolutely nothing. Now, I'd love to talk about RTD. I'd love to talk about RTD. Would love to talk about RTD. So RTD needs money to increase service and maintain its system long term. So they're currently facing a $5 billion maintenance backlog over the next decade. And so what I'd like to do is work with RTD to increase revenue from new enterprise fees, building on what has already been done a few years ago with extraction fees from oil and gas. And so then I'll also help them go to the ballot and win in 2028 so that we can raise operational funding to offer Northwest Denver the public transit that we all deserve.
Okay. Joe, the next question is for you.
Sorry. The fact that you moved out is funny, but okay.
This year, the legislature had to close a $1.5 billion budget shortfall. The cuts included Medicaid provider reimbursement rates, a cap on Cover All Coloradans, which provides health care to immigrant children, and the teacher recruitment and preparation program. Tabor refund mandates contributed to the shortfall, but rising program costs mean Colorado would face a deficit even without Tabor. I would like to hear you name one cut you would have thought to restore and tell us where you would have found the money.
Awesome, and I'm also going to respond. First of all, I've been doing community work and organizing long before the migrant crisis, and I was fighting for immigrants long before people came who were fleeing persecution. So it is not a question of performative showcasing of my work. I've taken the confirmation training. I've joined community protection groups. Back when I was with the Latino caucus, I worked to make sure that the Trump administration, who was trying to make it so that immigrants weren't counted on the census by instilling fear, I fought with the Latino caucus members to make sure that everybody was counted, that everybody was represented. In my day job, we developed a resource so that organizations that work with immigrant communities could still take them out to enjoy nature without fear so that they could identify law enforcement versus ICE agents. We created an open source data platform so that people could contribute to it and essentially say, this is what local law enforcement looks like, this is what a park ranger uniform looks like. I'm going to go on because I need to answer this question. One of the most frustrating things is we always talk about cuts, but we rarely talk about corporate welfare. We have corporations with hundreds of employees on Medicaid, SNAP, and public housing. These corporations keep wages low, only hire part-time, or misclassify workers as contractors to avoid paying their benefits. That expense is then paid by our state budget and our taxpayers. We need to eliminate subsidizing corporate profits because corporate profits are not suffering like our state budget, like people are. It's time the conversation reflects that. If I had to say would protect anything, it's obviously education and Medicaid. Like that, those are the two biggest parts of our budget, taking care of people.
Thank you, Joe. The same question for you, Andrés. Name one cut you would have thought to restore and tell us where you would have found the money.
Happy to. So I'm here joined in the audience by both of my parents, Mario and Irma Carrera. So, you know, I would have fought to restore healthcare to immigrant children at being raised as the son of immigrants. This is a moral decision. That is my mom. That is my dad. And I would be absolutely nothing without them. And so I don't care what the arguments are, you can't have my vote, to cut, healthcare to immigrant children. And here is where I would find the money. Under Trump's tax cuts, the average annual savings for Coloradans top 1% for households earning $1.15 million and above spikes to $75,000. Folks, the Trump tax cuts are saving millionaires $75,000 a year. That is more than my yearly salary. I have no idea why they need that money, but apparently Trump thinks that they do. So here's the thing. I would pay for immigrant children's health care by taxing them, fat cats who profit off of their parents' labor.
Thank you again for the interruption. This must have would be the last one. Jill, I'd actually like to come back to RTD with you. Andres' answer, I'll remind everybody, was the support ballot measure. And so, Jill, did the latest RTD governance reform make you more or less interested in approving additional funding for our public transit agency?
Well, we always need to fund more public transit. That's not even a question. Sorry.
This agency.
Which agency?
The RTD.
Does the state need, can I get that?
So Governor Polis just recently signed this bill to reform the governance. We now have fewer elected seats, more governor-appointed seats, yet the state remains 44th in transit funding. Did this latest reform make you more or less interested in providing more money to RTD, an agency that many people have complained is making support?
So a couple things are true here. I did not and do not support the legislation to reduce the number of representative seats. Because why are we trying to consolidate power into one person, let alone one person who can then go off and hand those seats and appointments to wealthy donors and people who have corporate interests in the exact agency that we're trying to fund. So no, I think we need representative democracy, and that means elected positions. Second, as a state legislator, I would introduce a legislation to, essentially the legislature has the authority to increase the ability for RTD to tax at the municipal level. There's a cap right now. And so what that would do is increase that authority so that then municipalities can go to the voters and say, do you want a tax increase to go to RTD? So that would be a funding question. Lastly, the legislature has given RTD so many unfunded mandates. So I would want to work closely with RTD and other regional transportation districts in the state to make sure that when we provide a mandate, it's funded and supported so that the blame and the pressure isn't solely felt by the regional transportation district. All that to say, I strongly believe in public transportation, and we cannot consolidate power into a governor who, regardless of Jared Polis, right, any governor who most likely has never had to depend on buses, on bikes, to pick up kids, to get to work, to get to doctor's appointments. And so, no, I do not support the decision to consolidate power to the governor.